All right, everybody, this is going to be a little bit different. A few months ago, I uploaded a video titled How to Do Text Hypnosis, which was actually just kind of a covert way to do a text induction to people. And it actually worked on some people, didn't work on everybody. But I wanted to do a video, a demonstration of text hypnosis actually working in real life. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to do this is that although a lot of people have heard of hypnosis, text hypnosis is something that's not popularly known or understood. So people seem to, have this cliche, these associations, and they're totally fair, of like a stage hypnotist using a metronome or their finger or a spiral, and all those things work really well. Those are all good ways to do hypnosis. But the principles are much, much more general than that, right? Anything that holds your attention, anything that you can get really focused on can put you into a trance and therefore contribute to you becoming hypnotized. And the number of things that you can focus on is pretty much unlimited, right? You can focus on an idea, on a voice, on an action, yes, on a spiral, on a gold pocket watch, any of those things. But you can just as easily focus on text, right? If you ever read a book, you get really into reading a book. And so I have here an example, and I'll make sure there's no information to this person. There's nothing personal here. This is just a conversation. I was talking to somebody on Grindr, and we did the normal pleasantries, what are you into, that sort of thing. And I described what I was into, and you can see here at the start of this, I say I am also into erotic hypnosis. So the yellow are me, the blue are the other person. And you will see, and I'll try and explain what's going on. So one of the first things that you learn when you learn hypnotic inductions is the idea of a pre-suggestion. That's basically to get ideas in their heads, to start them thinking about going into trance or hypnosis. And this may sound kind of tricky, but it's actually incredibly easy. At a stage show, if you go to a hypnotic stage show, you're going to a hypnotic stage show. And so you're already thinking about what that entails. And so every single person who walks in that auditorium already has some pre-suggestion. In my case, on my profile, for instance, it says that I'm into erotic hypnosis. Now, not everybody reads profiles, but if they do, then they will have that in their mind. And if they don't, and they ask, what are you into? And you list things. And of course, it's not the only thing I'm into. There's more above this that is not listed. But when I bring it up, now it's out there. And now we have here, he mentions that that's great and that erotic hypnosis sounds amazing. So we have somebody who it's clearly on their mind now. And also seems enthusiastic. And then I asked to verify, you like the sound of that? He says he does. And these next follow-up questions are just to start to get him thinking about it more. He doesn't have to know what he's doing. He doesn't have to know how to be hypnotized. He never has to have been hypnotized before. And in this case, he never has been before. It's just to start getting his mind in that headspace will start to put him there. So as you can see here, I've never heard of erotic hypnosis, so the fact that it's something new intrigues me. So that's good. And at this point in the conversation, I'm not sure that I'm going to hypnotize him. I'm just seeing what he's interested in. Maybe he wants to get hypnotized in the future. This hasn't been established yet. I should also, forewarning, while this text was going on, and please no one judge me too horribly, I was driving for work. It was night, and there was a lot of construction. So there will be parts of this where the spelling on my part is abysmal. I will 100% blame auto-dictation and my inability to really edit these. I couldn't really read my messages very well because I had to keep my eyes on the road. And as I say, as I've just said in my introduction, it's not common. Many people know how to do, not many people know how to do hypnosis, right? And that's true. It's not that common. So usually when I bring it up or it comes up, I'm usually the first experience people have had. Or if they have had experience with hypnosis in the past, it's very often because they've heard files or seen videos, or occasionally they've been to a stage show. I don't know about the whole country, but in New England, hypnotic stage shows are super popular for high schools and colleges, which is kind of weird, but be that as may. Okay. So here goes. And, I would say this, if you've never done it before, that you should just lie and say that you have. You want to give the impression that you're a good hypnotist. In this case, I am pretty experienced, I guess. I don't know what the experience levels are. I've only been doing it a little over a year, but it's been probably hundreds of guys. So I've definitely been around the block. But even if I hadn't, I would want to say something to that effect. I still do it about once a day, which is kind of not true. I don't think I do it that much anymore. Holy moly, that's a lot, but damn, it works. And this is kind of me heading off at the pass. It's pretty common for guys to tell me that they don't think it will work on them, and then I'll hypnotize them. It's always super funny and fun, which I hate the fact that I said funny and fun, but I'm sorry, I was driving. And this is indeed very common. A huge percentage of the people that I interact with will be either completely skeptical of all hypnosis, which I 100% appreciate and understand. I was the same way. When you watch it being done to somebody else, especially if you watch it remotely, like on television or on the internet, you do not know what's going on in their head, and you don't know, are these actors? Are they just playing it along? Are they enthusiastic? And to be fair, all those are real phenomenons. There are actors out there. There are people who play around. There are people who fake it. There are charlatans. Those are all real things. And a third-party observer is not necessarily going to know that. Now, there are exceptions if, for instance, it's a friend of yours and you know that they don't fake, or they know they would never do that, or best of all, if it happens to you. But short of that, secondhand information, it's like, did you see Bigfoot? They can say that they did, but you just don't know if you really believe them. And of course, here goes, that's just what I was thinking. So I would say something like 20 or 30% of the guys that I do say that it's not going to work on them, and none of them had any reason to actually believe that. There is no correlation between one's belief into how hypnotizable you are and one's ability to be hypnotized. Now, it's true, there are some people who are very difficult or debatably impossible to hypnotize. This is something that is debated. I will say that practically speaking, there is a 5 to 10% of the population that, unless you're giving them drugs or sensory deprivation or putting them in a dark room or something going far beyond what a normal hypnotist will have at their disposal, you're not going to be able to hypnotize those people. But it is a small minority. There's a much larger group, 15 to 20% about, that are very hypnotizable, that are very, very open to suggestions and are very easy to hypnotize. And for everybody else, it's not difficult and it works well. They may not accept every suggestion, but they're perfectly hypnotizable. And it's really only this small 5 to 10% that's not. And that percentage of people who are not hypnotizable does not correlate with your belief in whether you are or not. Of the guys that I've had where it didn't work, and there's been maybe 3 where it really didn't work at all, 2 of them thought that it would, and 1 of them wanted it to work, and it just didn't. It didn't work very well. And to be honest, in that case, it was one of the first guys that I did, and it's possible if I did them again, it would work. Then one guy said that it didn't work. So in all the time that I've been doing this, I've had exactly 1 guy tell me it wasn't going to work, and it didn't. And I'm not sure that it wouldn't have if I had tried more with him. The other thing is that there were, I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens who said that it wouldn't work, and it did. And this guy, he doesn't come out and say that it wouldn't work on him, but he says, I was just thinking that. So that's what everybody thinks. I thought the same thing, by the way, before I was hypnotized. Now, this is where I basically am deciding to hypnotize him. Now, we can get into the ethics of this later, and I'm totally open to that. But right now, I'm talking to a guy who's safe, he's remote, he's at home, in bed, we're not with each other, so nothing is going to physically happen, and indeed nothing has, and there's a very high probability I will never meet this person in real life. And also we're just talking here, right? And that's the thing. If you're skeptical of hypnosis, then that should be your reaction. And if you do not believe in hypnosis, then there's absolutely nothing you can say here. If you do believe in hypnosis, then we are ready to have a very interesting conversation about the ethics of this. So I decide, because it's a little bit of a challenge to me when someone says I'm not hypnotizable. Now, as I just said, that doesn't actually mean that they are, but it just makes it more fun. So what we have here is what sounds perhaps like a conversation, but is actually part of the process. But what you don't realize is that your mind is always open to suggestion. Now, that is a fact, right? That is a declamative statement. That's true. It's also a suggestion in and of itself. He's going to read that, and in order for him to read that, those words are going to go straight into his brain. And not only is that true, in the sense of any word that he reads, but it's in the context of him already thinking about hypnosis, right, and being interested in hypnosis. So you're taking in suggestions under those two criteria, and this is where we start to get into a place where, if this person is receptive, as indeed most people are, there's a good chance this will work, but we'll see. True, but it means that it's amazing when it works. Yep. And now it says all you have to do is focus and your mind can become hypnotized. It's easy to be focused. And again, more suggestions. It's easy to be hypnotized, and all you have to do is focus. Now, I don't tell him straight up, you should focus on me, but I'm saying that that's all you need to do and that really works. And then exactly our every decision is based on suggestions, all that's cool. So he's obviously not a free will person. Yeah, this guy's definitely a consequentialist, but we did not have that philosophical debate at this time, although I certainly had echoes of that debate when I saw that message. But that's right. It's impossible for your mind not to be influenced by my words, which again is literally true. You can't read a word and not have that word show up in your head. Just like reading my words shapes your thoughts. Absolutely a true statement, but also a suggestion in this case. And you'll find, I don't know how other people do this. I'm not too familiar with there's only one other hypnotist that I am familiar with their texting habits, and that's the person that I mostly learn from. So I don't know how common this is, but most text inductions are what you would refer to as indirect inductions. So a direct induction is when you're speaking directly at someone, to somebody. Look at me, look at my finger, listen to my voice, right? And that works really well, and I do that when I'm in person. But there is something called an indirect induction. So let's say someone walks in and like, hey, I should tell you about the time somebody else walked into this room. They sat right down in the chair that you're sitting in. They listened to my voice, and as they listened, they dropped into a deep trance and became completely hypnotized, right? Now, technically, that was indirect. You were describing a past event or a hypothetical past event, or indeed perhaps an imaginary event to suit the circumstance. But very often that will work. And so with text induction, very often, it's very rare, and maybe never, that I've told someone, I'm going to hypnotize you through text. So let's go, pay attention, right? It will always be me describing someone else getting hypnotized or describing the process of being hypnotized, right? By describing the hypnotic process to somebody who is thinking about hypnosis, that in and of itself can be enough, as we'll see. Sounds kind of hot. So I'm getting the impression this is a guy who is interested in this. We can get into an interesting debate about consent and not consent. And here I use the example. When you read the word like elephant, your mind thinks about an elephant, for instance. Yeah, exactly. So this is another interesting thing that we look for. We want to see compliance sets, or what also called yes sets. This is a common sales tactic. You may notice this if you ever try and buy a car. Somebody will ask you 3 or 4 questions where you'll say yes that are easy. Oh, it's a nice day. Do you like the color of the car? You really like the steering wheel? Okay, yes, yes, yes. And then like, so you want to buy it. It is actually more difficult to say no than it was than if they had said the first question, do you want to buy the car, right? By saying yes, 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 a fourth yes is just psychologically predisposed to happen. Now, it doesn't mean it will always work, certainly, but it is a technique people use. And this starts to establish a compliance and getting them used to agreeing with you, as you'll see later. And again, I'm describing what I do accurately. These are actually accurate descriptions. You could read these and actually learn how to do text induction, but in this process, in this context, what that will do likely is hypnotize the person reading about that. So, but as a hypnotist, what I will do is subtly, but auto dictation in a car didn't work. So I don't think it really hurt me much here. Suddenly slip in suggestions that go into your subconscious. So your conscious mind is reading along, paying close attention, but your subconscious mind is picking up the suggestions that starts to go into trance. Again, horrible, horrible auto dictation there. I am sorry, but you get the gist. And it's just amazing how easy it is to go into trance. It always says tryouts, but most people do it on a regular basis without even realizing. Let's see. And then I like to think of a common example of trance that happens in the real world on its own. I use the example very often of driving late at night, the so-called phenomenon of road hypnosis. Not everyone has experienced that, but many people do. And even if they haven't, just thinking about it is just another way to get them thinking about trance, which is what you want them to do. And zoning out, a good phrase. Yeah, I have. So again, now we have two things here. He's complying. He's saying, yes, I have. The other thing too, so this is a further yes set. And the other thing is, if that's true, if he's had road hypnosis and he knows that he has, then that's a good indicator that he's suggestible. Now, if he replied instead, no, I have never had road hypnosis, that means, two things. Assuming he's being correct, which he could have forgotten or lied, but two things. He's broken the yes sets. He's now mentally in a place where he will object or say no to a suggestion. The other thing is, he's saying that he hasn't had that experience before, whereas now he's saying yes, and he's also saying that he's experienced road hypnosis. Now, if you've experienced road hypnosis, if you've gone into a trance from watching television or watching a video or listening to music or meditating or anything like that, that's a good indicator that you should be a good subject, that you should be hypnotizable. And I'm definitely at this point getting strong vibes that this guy is not only hypnotizable, which, I mean, I'm surprised when they're not, but so I kind of walk into it assuming that they are. And now I'm starting to get some confirmation of this. Now, I will say, text hypnosis works very well. It's very effective. The challenging part as a hypnotist is you have a lot less to go on. If you're with a person in real life, you can look at their eyes, you can look at their breathing, you can look at their heart rate, you can see if they're flush, you can look at their body movement, at their relaxation, they can hear your voice, they can see, right? You have, I don't even know, hundreds of variables that you can check. Through text, you don't. The first thing that you want to see is that they're focused and paying attention on you. So if you're having a text with somebody, if you're having a conversation and you send them a message and they don't reply for 5 minutes or 10 minutes each time, then you know that they're not engaged. You know that they're not really paying attention. Maybe they've got other stuff going on. Maybe they're just not that interested. So, right off the bat, that can't be happening. So the first thing you want is to see that they're engaged in the conversation. And that was happening earlier. Every time I sent a message, he would read it right away and he would reply right away. Boom. That's the number one first thing that you want. And there was a lot of that going on. And again, it's very easy for you to go into trance. So this is a descriptive statement, but it's also now, and you'll notice the pronoun shift from they, it to you. So that doesn't seem that awkward in a conversation, but it's significant in his mind, because it's one thing to say people can go into trance easily, which also will and can work, but you can go into trance is that much more powerful. Whoa, so he finds that interesting. Now what I want to start to do is to get him even closer. Yeah, anything that draws your attention can put you into a trance. Anytime you find yourself really focused and following along your mind and tune into that one thing. And then he says, boom, trance, which ironic here is I think that he is in a trance at this point. And by him saying that, by him assenting to that, it probably only makes it stronger. Getting someone to say that I'm in trance while they're in trance actually makes it stronger. Okay, so for those who need translation here, and so this is what I'm thinking now. I think this guy is in a trance, which means his normal filters are gone. His conscious mind is probably not really filtering out information very well, which is just another way to say that he is at this point probably suggestible. Now, most people are very hypnotizable. People's suggestibility does vary a little bit. So some people are going to be open to any suggestion, and some people are only going to be open to some suggestions. So now it's going to be kind of a study of where is this guy? How suggestible is he? What suggestions can he take? And there's going to be a couple games here just to kind of see. But when I think that's the case, when I think, yes, this person is going into trance, now it's time to start putting on suggestions. And also to notice, if they're in trance, they should be really attentive and focused and not really saying a lot. So if you have somebody at this point who is interjecting constantly, that's not a good sign. Doesn't mean that it's not working necessarily, but it's not a good sign. You want somebody who will listen. And there gets to be a point where you realize if this person was not hypnotized, they would react very, very differently. So this horrible typo, no in-state house is cliche. In stage hypnosis, thank you, auto dictation, the cliches are things like spirals or gold watches, and they all work really good, which is true. but it's more general than that. Anything that draws your focus can put you into a trance. You can just think about an idea or a voice, or even reading text. And this is kind of like the aha moment in their mind. We haven't talked about going under through text yet, but now I'm going to do that. They've already gone into trance because of text, and this is going to reinforce this. In fact, reading text is an excellent way to go into a deep trance, because when you read, your eyes just automatically take in the words, and those words shape your thoughts. Reading is automatic, and you're taking the words, and as in you're taking the words, you're taking in the suggestions. You'll notice that you get super attentive, maybe become incredibly focused on words. Again, auto-dictation, I'm sorry, but doesn't seem to hurt without even realizing it, really. Yeah, and I believe, yeah, there we go. Yeah, 1 second you're just reading my messages, and the next you're in a deep trance, becoming 100% focused on my words. So again, it is technically a description, but you can see now the tone has changed, and now this is clearly more directed directly at him, and I don't think he's picking up on that. So you can just relax your body, because all you need to do from now on is just read my words and follow along. As you do, you'll notice that your body completely relaxes. Now, there's a strong association between trance and relaxation, but they are not necessary. Trance is not a form of relaxation. Trance is a form of heightened attention or focus. It's a mental state. However, one of the most common side effects is to become physically very relaxed. I don't know why that is, but it's very, very, very common. Doesn't happen to everyone, but it's probably the single most common thing, I would think. You don't need your body at all. All you need to do is use your eyes to follow and read my words. It's actually really good feeling, so you can just enjoy it as you follow, going deeper and deeper into trances. Okay, yeah, so again. And that's also very true. There typically is a feeling of euphoria, and it feels really good for most people. The more you read, the better you feel. Now, I'm now assuming now that this guy is suggestible at this point, and so when he reads these, he will experience them. When I tell him that he'll feel better now, he should. When I tell him that he just wants to focus on my words, he will. Pronoun shift because of auto-dictation. You will start to notice that your heart is increasing, which is true. Your heart rate will increase. I'm guessing his heart rate is already up. If it wasn't, just by reading that, it'll go up. And when he notices that, he will start to think, oh my God, this guy is psychic. And that's a very common reaction. People think that you're psychic, when actually I can tell that this guy's in trance, which means he probably does have an elevated heart rate, and it probably means a couple other things that we will get to in a minute. Your breathing is becoming more shallow, and you'll notice that your breathing is quicker because you're going into trance and your body needs more oxygen and more blood flow. So while you read my words, your heart rate is increasing. Your mind is so incredibly focused on my words that you can't take your eyes off the screen. All you have to do is relax and follow my words. It's super easy and feels nice just to let my words guide your thoughts. That's because as you're reading my words, you went into a deep trance. Now, this is the punchline. I do this number. It's not exactly a script, but it's very similar to this. And this next response is critical. If he says, no, I don't think so, or no, I feel fine, my heart rate's the same, or my breathing's not normal, everything's normal, then okay, this is a failed attempt, which is actually quite rare. I think that I'm at 85 or 90% on these, something like that. It's very, very effective, but this will be the test. Yeah, it does. And that's normally what you see. And most people just say yes or yeah. The shorter the better. If they're in a trance, their mind is not going to be super lucid, and they shouldn't be elaborating with lots of things. So if he said yeah, and here's a paragraph describing it, that would be okay. But an ideal would just be yes. But yeah, it does is pretty good. And so we'll go from there. Notice how compliant you feel. And then he says it's pretty nice. A good indicator, right? I just told him as a suggestion that hypnosis feels really good and it's really nice. And now he's reporting back, it feels really nice. But he's not elaborating much because this guy is very, very deep at this point, probably. You find yourself agreeing with whatever I say as long as you follow along. You just nod your head, realizing that everything I say is completely right. Isn't that right? And I like this little formulation, isn't that right? That's a construction that I use a lot. It's a leading question that kind of lends itself to a yes set, to a compliance set. And again, what you want him to say is yeah, yes, something like that. You don't want him to say, no, I don't think you're right. I'm not quite sure, maybe, right? Those are all That's all good evidence that it's not working well or hasn't worked at all. And here we have a yeah, which is exactly what we want. And we'll notice that it's even toned down from the previous, yeah, it does, to just yeah. In fact, it feels really good to agree with me. Every time you do, you feel a wave of pleasure all over your body. It feels good that you absolutely love agreeing with me. Isn't that right? Again, isn't that right? It's very hard isn't that right to go, no, it's not right. It's easier to say yes, which is what you want. Yes, sir. Now, this is interesting. I don't 100% understand this myself, but you do get this deferential authority talk. In the conversations with this guy before, which were brief, got no indication that he was submissive or into Dom sub or anything like that. I've never told him to address me as sir or anything along those lines. And yet the deference now is there. And this doesn't happen all the time, but it's very, very common. And then now, I think he thought he couldn't be hypnotized. I don't know how strongly he felt that, but I'm going to run with the idea that he did. Isn't that right? Yups, which is new. I haven't had someone say yups before, but that definitely counts as good. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a series of instructions, and you're going to follow them exactly. I will count to 3 and type the word snap. And then before I get a chance, he goes, feels warm. Okay, so he is describing stuff that he's feeling right now. That's good. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Because these can be some really good indicators for you. I'm almost reluctant to put them on YouTube because I'll get to that in a second, but we will. Okay. When I do, your eyes are going to blink is what I meant to say, but thanks auto dictation several times, and you'll feel incredible wave of pleasure all over your body. And when you wake up, completely overwhelmed, wakes up feeling really refreshed and excited to be hypnotized. Do you understand these instructions? He somehow manages to understand them, even though the spelling is horrible and probably actually changes the meaning of the words. But again, auto dictation driving down the highway, so not the best situation. Blah 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 blah. Post in the comments if you hate me. Very good. And a really good suggestion that I probably should have done earlier, you are excellent subject at being hypnotized. When they're hypnotized, giving them the suggestion that they're good at being hypnotized is an excellent suggestion to give them because it typically makes it stronger. He's in a trance right now. If he hears that, reads that, he will think that and feel that, which is exactly what you want. Now focusing on my words as you drop down to 1, 2, 3, snap. And you see that is at 11:05. 2 minutes later, he still has not messaged. And when he does, whoa, hey. Now, this thing that we do here, so up to this point, he's not just in a trance, he has been hypnotized, but he's still typing on his phone, he's still reading. So he's in what's referred to as a waking state. So you're hypnotized, but your eyes are open and you seem conscious, even though you're actually in this altered state of consciousness. This little exercise here drops him into a state of what's referred to as hypnotic sleep. And hypnotic sleep resembles regular sleep. Your eyes are closed, your body's relaxed, but you're not asleep. Your mind is active. And a lot of times when people are in this, they'll go into REM. Right, you'll get that effect, which I obviously can't see or gauge at this point. And then they will wake up, and it very, very much varies here. Some people, when they wake up, have complete amnesia. Some people, when they wake up, have all their memories, and some people, it's a mix. And some people, they may start off the first couple times they get hypnotized, they remember everything, and the second couple times they don't, right? So it is hard for me to gauge this not being there. This is one of the trickiest parts, so you kind of have to be interrogative and ask questions without taking them out of it too much. So that's something I'm going to do here. So I usually like to let them wait for 2 or 3 minutes for them to come back. If they don't, I will message myself just because I don't want them to be too out of it. How's he going? So this is kind of interesting. It's like a little bit of a balance. I don't know what he remembers. So, how do you feel? He feels awesome. Okay, very common. What were the suggestions? That it feels great, that it's amazing, right? And now he's saying that. What are you thinking about? just how good it feels and how amazing it would be in person, which is true. Now, what he may not realize, which I'm sure he doesn't realize, is even though he may feel awake right now, like he just, quote, woke up and that he's not in trance, he is not unhypnotized right now. He is in a waking state, which means he is still open to suggestions. So when I say, yeah, you really love me hypnotizing, it's the best feeling in the world, isn't that right? He believes that. It really is. Tell me some of the things you are feeling now. So this is the part that I almost wanted to edit out of the video. There are some really, really common physiological things that happen with hypnosis. They don't happen with everyone. They don't happen all the time. And they're not super well known. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to put them out here. And I have not suggested these things. I have not said that he should feel these things. And if he reports them, that is a really good indicator that he really had a trance and that he's not faking. Because one thing that's a problem with this, and it's a lesser problem, but still a problem with other types of hypnosis, is it is possible to fake. Now, there would be no malicious reason why somebody would want to fake in this case, right? They're not trapping me or tricking me in some way to get something out of me. But there are people who want to role play. They think it's really fun. And so they will just, wow, that's a really hot idea, and they like the idea, and they will be compliant without actually being hypnotized. It does happen. It's not super common, but it does. But the people who are faking it, and once you've been hypnotized, it's much easier to fake, but if you never have been, you don't know. And so here we go. I feel a ton of warmth, arousal, tingling in parts of the body, and very, very calm and relaxed. Well, as I said, what's the number one thing, as far as I can tell anyway, being very, very relaxed. Arousal, incredibly common, which we will talk about. And if you look at the conversation, I don't say anything to turn him on. I never give him a suggestion that he's horny. I never give him a suggestion that he's aroused. And yet he's reporting that, which is perfect. And then tingling in the body is like the dead giveaway. It does not happen to everybody, but it's incredibly common. Tingling in the hands, tingling in the feet, tingling in the back, sometimes tingling over the entire body. Somebody who is faking it, unless they watch this video, I guess, they probably would not know to say that. And the fact that he does, and again, if you look back, at no point do I suggest that he should feel tingling. I say he feels great, he feels amazing, it's the best feeling in the world, but I never say it's tingling. So this is a very, very good, I'm very certain this guy is hypnotized, right? I wasn't really doubting it. And most people wouldn't have the motive to do it. But this, to me, is as close to proof as I can get from text, right? It's as close to proof because the odds that this guy, A, is trying to fake it, and B, would know to report that is very, very low. Not impossible, but very, very low. So this is something that is great. I really wanted to see that. And he reports a whole slew of them, so he knew them all. And as I go, those are classes. Okay, so a little graphic, people, but it should be interesting. It is true. This is very common. It doesn't happen with everybody, but their heart rate does go up. Sometimes their cheeks will flush. And the extra blood flow can give people an erection. And I can't see this person, but he's reporting it here. But you'll notice, again, if you look back at the text, there's nothing sexual. I never say to get hard. I never say you should become aroused. None of that happens. And it happens with straight people, too. So it's not a sexual thing necessarily. It can be that as well. I mean, if I had started giving him suggestions that you're turned on, that you're horny, blah, 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 he would definitely have responded to those, apparently, because he is in a trance and he is hypnotized, but I didn't. So this is a more physiological erection, which is a good sign. Okay, good. So that's so cool. So he really likes WOA. What's the last thing you remember clearly? So this is me wondering what his amnesia is like. If he has amnesia, that's another tremendous sign. If he doesn't, that doesn't prove anything because many people do go into a deep trance and retain their memories more or less completely. But he remembers hopping into bed. Do you remember getting hypnotized? Yeah, the beginning a bit. So the thing is, this is only a few minutes later. So if he wasn't hypnotized, he should be able to basically remember everything. And the fact that he doesn't is yet another indicator that not only is he hypnotized, but he went fairly deep. So he remembers a bit, but now that I know that he's hypnotized and I know that it worked, as certain as I can be under the context, right? This could be an elaborate hoax or an elaborate fake. Sure, who knows why that would be, but not impossible, but extremely unlikely. So now your memories are really hazy. In fact, the more you try and remember, the more hazy they become. Yeah, they are. So he is now reporting back to me that he is feeling what I just told him to feel. And also you can see there with the spelling errors, I mean, I have spelling errors too, so you can say, are you hypnotized? No, I'm auto-dictation. This guy is not auto-dictating. So this is a sign that he's kind of losing motor control and higher brain function, which is interesting. Your memories are just fading away. Wows. Your mind's just really foggy and slowed. Because right now you don't have to think or make decisions. All you have to do is read my words and let my words do all your thinking. Isn't that right? Right. Good. He doesn't have a lot to say. So just relax. Let me take control. All you need to do is follow my words and my words think, because right now your brain is too foggy and slow to think. Yes, sir. There we go with that again. You'll notice a warm, fuzzy feeling. Now I feel fine suggesting this because he already reported it, so I don't need that as like a test. And now I can just enhance it. So warm and appling, it's so nice. So notice that he really likes the feeling. He's reporting that he really likes the feeling. Very common, and just by enhancing that, it'll make it even better. You can feel your brain getting euphoric and slow, blah, 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 dumber. You don't always do this. You could make any suggestions you wanted at this point. This is just kind of see, isn't that right? Sure. Okay, so he's still compliant. He does switch around his words. Sure, whoa, yes, yeah, yes, sir. But all that's fine. Doesn't really impact it any bit. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and then now this is another test. I tell him that he's getting dumber and that he's harder to use his fingers. I want to see if his typing starts to go down the hill. It does a little bit. Sometimes this gets a lot worse. Yes, everything's slower, which is good. And perfect. Okay, he's now, typing out more than that is more than he wants to do at this point. So these are, I know this guy's hypnotized. He's focused on the screen, and he is open to suggestions. Now we're not meeting in person. There's not there's an infinite things we can do. There's how many combinations, but practically speaking, there's not a ton. So if I tell you to think certain things, feel certain things, do certain things, so we're going to do the same thing. Count to 3 and type the word snap. This time, your eyes are going to close and your entire body is going to relax, and you're going to drop into a state of hypnotic sleep. This is a state where your body is completely relaxed and your eyes are closed, but your mind is actively following my suggestions and commands. While you sleep, you will take the idea that you love being hypnotized and put it so deep into your subconscious mind that it just becomes a permanent part of your identity. You'll be eager to be hypnotized as much as possible from now on. Not just when you're hypnotized, but all the time. It'll become an automatic part of who you are. Once you have successfully done that, your eyes will open. You'll wake up feeling relaxed and excited and really happy. Message me to tell me how you feel. Do you understand this? Yes. So he understands. Okay. 1, 2, 3, snap. And 11:21 p.m. 11:24 p.m. And he is out. He is out. He is out. He is out. He never went back online. He never read those messages until this morning. So he actually went to sleep, which was not exactly what he was supposed to do, but I'll take it. And then today, just relaxing. So he's awake now. We have a nice conversation. And this is not the induction here, but you'll see how things have changed, right? This guy has now been hypnotized once. He's been given some suggestions, and now it's time to see how well they've germinated or not. Heading to work in a few hours. How are your memories from last night? Still fuzzy. I don't remember much. Now, one great thing about text is that everything's recorded. So you can go back and, reread everything and to satisfy your heart's curiosity about what happened, which is one really good thing about it. And look at this. This is kind of like your suggestion has taken hold. It's a day later. How do you feel about it? It was really cool. I'm down to do it again. Now, that is not the exact same wording that I gave of the suggestion, but it's also important to kind of notice he doesn't remember much. So he doesn't remember much, but it was really cool and he wants to do it again. Super common. A lot of subjects don't remember very much or even nothing, and yet they have incredibly positive experience and they want to do it a lot. So based on, well, we'll keep going. And you'll notice now it's saying anything about it was so fun, you loved it. Now I can just know that this guy is suggestible now, right? This is not a stranger. I did not know this person at all. I didn't know anything about him. Now I do know. And the other thing is, like, once you've been hypnotized once, it's much easier to go a second time and just roll right out with the yes sets. You're probably getting hard. Just thinking about it, isn't that right? Yeah, lol. So if that's true, then he's already at this point, much quicker going back into a trance. Right. So if he was not hypnotized right now, he should say something different. He should be like, what are you talking about? No, I don't really remember it. Why would I feel good? Blah, 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 right? Like there's so many things that a fully conscious, not hypnotized person probably should react, and this is not. He's back into yes sets. Just like that. And I know that now that I know that, we can just unload. I'm a powerful hypnotist. I don't like to be immodest, but it's good for the subject in this case. Blah, 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 blah. Isn't that right? Right. Okay, so this guy is down again. Ready to proceed. So just very compliant. Yes, sir. Obey me. Yes, sir. So he's back into that, even though I did not say, call me sir, or anything like that. Super common. So this is interesting. Very good. Now that you were hypnotized, with your memory is much better and you can remember our session yesterday. Everything is coming back crystal clear. Not just what you did, but all the programming I gave you. Do you remember? I should say you remember it also clearly. You don't want to give a suggestion that's a question, but thank you, auto dictation. Although I will say I was on my couch during this. I wasn't driving, so this part no one can complain about. Isn't that right? Right. What programming did I give you last night? That I'd always want to be hypnotized by you. So, as you recall, he did not remember that. This is 2:10. So at 10 minutes before, he does not remember. Now that he's hypnotized, he remembers. Now that he's hypnotized, he remembers the program from the previous day. Blah, 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 blah. Best feeling in the world. Isn't that right? Right. So it's interesting that I guess during the day he likes right. During the night he likes whoa, yeah, and yes, sir. Interesting. Stuff you learn about people. I don't even know this guy's name. So I should probably ask that next time. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm just getting this guy very excited to get hypnotized again and to enjoy it. It is best that way. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Very good. Now focusing on my words. Let my words in 1, 2, 3, snap. And he is out. He is out again. He has not been back online. He fell asleep in the middle of the afternoon. I hope that he makes it to work. He said it was a few hours away, so I'm assuming that'll be fine. But there you go. That is an example of text hypnosis, how it works, how it's done. I have done this so many times, I can't count. I'm sure now that I've hypnotized more people through text than in person or over the phone, than anything else. It is very, very effective. I think I want to say 85 to 90% of the time it works. And a part of the reason I think it works so well is people don't expect it and they're not aware that it's possible. And and it's so easy and natural to read, and boom, you end up with this. This was very typical. I used to do it in a much longer way. It's just something you develop. You get better and better over time. The first couple times I did it, it took much longer and was much more gradual. But I'm going to say this was so effective that I'm absolutely certain that I was doing this to people on accident way before I learned about hypnosis. Absolutely certain. I was 100% hypnotizing people. And if you are out there and you are good at keeping people's attention through conversations, if you're good at texting and you can have people hanging off every word, you probably have done it also, because it's just going to work on a certain percentage of the people, even if you don't know. I'm thinking now of a particular person who is a doctor, no less, who I used to talk to, and we would tell, he liked to hear sexual stories where you would basically, the verb nowadays is sexting for the kids, and we would sext, and he was really very, very engaged. And one of the things that I noticed is I started saying stuff like, "You're so turned on that," and then I would list various things that he would physiologically do, and then he would write back, "Oh my God, I'm doing those things," whatever they were, and I'll spare the listener the details of what that was, what those were. There were a couple, and this was years ago, way before I learned hypnosis. And looking back, I'm convinced 100%, well, 99%, that he was going into a trance, that he was following the dialogues closely enough and with enough interest that he got focused and went into a trance and then became suggestible. And so when I would then say, "You are so turned on that you are doing X," he would do that. Now, I find that the sexting is just tailor-made to do that, but it doesn't have to be that. You could be talking about meditation or relaxation. Like, you're so relaxed that, boom, your eyes are heavy and you feel really tired. You're so relaxed that every muscle in your body feels like wet spaghetti. You're so relaxed that blah, 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 right? That's not the only way you could do it. In fact, if you get creative, almost any way would work. So this tells me quite a lot about this person. I don't even know their name. But I know that they're very suggestible now, and they like to get hypnotized, and they're easy to hypnotize. I'd also say this person is a good subject. The fact that he was really falling asleep and waking up with amnesia are indicators that he's kind of on the upper echelon. I don't want to say he's the top. That's harder it's hard to gauge just from text. But he's definitely a good subject. So this is somebody who hypnotherapy would work very well for. This is somebody who is just very, very open to suggestions and all the good and the ill that entails. So, yeah, I have... One of the reasons I got good at this is that it was easier for me to do this than it was to meet people constantly. This person is hundreds of miles from me. So we can have a biker gang going through the neighborhood. Sorry. We can have a session like this, and because we're far away, one thing, if someone was far away and we'd never met, I would be highly reluctant to have a session with them in person, just because the 5% chance that it doesn't work, and no one wants that to happen. So by doing this, we now know if we met in person, it would work. So like if he were to make the trip, or I made the trip, we would know that it would work because it's already worked, and his brain is actually, it's easier. And you can see that second induction the second day, much, much faster. The tenor, the way that I went about it was very different because I just knew that it was going to work. So it's challenging in the sense that you can't see them and you can't hear them. And I do think that it's a little bit easier in person in the sense that it's easier for people to listen. There's something a little bit more natural about that, and it's easier for them to focus on you when you're right there. Somebody holding their phone in this day and age, they're going to be getting messages from other people and whatnot, and that can be distracting. And for some people, it's going to be too distracting. For other people, they can work through it. So it's not ideal, but it's very, very effective. Now, to go into the ethics here, interesting question. I would say that he was saying, hey, I'm into this. I want to try. Okay, he just didn't know he was going to try right then, and it was going to be through text. He probably was imagining, as most people do, that, oh, maybe we'll go meet and I'll pull out a metronome and have him look at a spiral or whatever, which that's all fun too. But nope, just went for it, and here we are, happy as a clam. Seemed eager before, wanted to try it before, so that's not a huge surprise. It would have been more interesting, I guess, if he had said, I hate hypnosis and I definitely don't want to do it. Well, then I would have been more ethically bound to not do it then. But that wasn't his reaction, so this went really well. So there you go. Get them engaged. This isn't really a how-to video. I could do that in another one where I actually explain all the steps, but you can just see that happening. And I could pull up 100 of these if I went through and looked through all my things. A lot of them get deleted and are gone, long gone, lost to history, but super, super common, super, super effective. I learned regular hypnosis first. Obviously, the first inductions that I did were verbal. I learned over Skype, so I didn't learn, like the handshake technique or any of those. It was just talking to someone in a certain way. And my first inductions took 45 minutes. And then slowly I developed other inductions and then started doing in-person ones. So handshake technique and magic fingers and all that stuff. There's a million of them. And I would say I learned in April and was pretty proficient by May, or decently beginner what's the term? Decently skilled, whatever, by early May. This is May 2020. And by September is when I realized I could do text. Now, I've been doing text a little bit with people who are already hypnotized, right? If you have somebody who you've hypnotized before, text works really, really well. But as an initial induction, it's a little bit more challenging. But I just remember talking to somebody in September and realizing that they were very engaged. I could tell that they were really, really into the conversation. And I just realized in the middle of the conversation, this person can be hypnotized, and boom, this new skill was born. Now, I did not invent this. I'm not saying that. People have been doing it for a long time, a very long time. And I think since the internet and since the proliferation of chat groups, and especially in the earlier eras when there were limits on bandwidth, where it was not necessarily always a sure thing that you could do a video or audio chat, text was the go-to. So there were people who got very, very, very good at text. But it was very esoteric, right? It was only happening in chat rooms and like hypno groups or whatever. And so a general awareness in the public that this is something you can do was not out there. And indeed it is. And that's one reason I wanted to make this video. When I did this guy, he's a cool guy. I have nothing against him. But I just thought, oh, this will be a great little. So this was a watered down. Being that I'm into erotic hypnosis, I think a typical session would be a little bit more risque and explicit. But I just wanted something that was nice and generic, and it worked really well. But this is almost on demand. You know, if you can get someone to pay attention, that's the hardest part, really. If you can get someone that they're engaged in your conversation, if there's someone's distracted and preoccupied with something else, then it's just not going to work. It doesn't matter what words you type and how you it's like pushing on a rope. It's not going to do anything. But if they're engaged, it can happen on its own, on accident, and with a little tweaking and a little skill, you can definitely make it happen. And there you go. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, the ethics of the whole thing. How do you feel? What do you know? I don't know that there's any videos on YouTube about people doing text inductions. Hypnosis is a rare skill, and text hypnosis is a rarer skill, but there are definitely TISTs who know it. I'm certainly not unique, and like I said, I certainly wasn't the first, but it's not well known. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching, and holy shit, an hour long, but hey, worthy topic, and I'll talk to you all another day. Goodbye.